Can you hear me?
Oh, I can hear you.
Please state your name for the recording. If you have not consented for your name being used, please refer to a fake name that I can refer to you as.
Charlie.
Hello, Charlie. My name is Dr. Doe, Jane Doe. I will be taking care of you this evening. Welcome to the P.I.E project. P.I.E stands for Phobia Informational Experiment. We at Tamor Testing thank you for your sacrifice of your time and your ears. The P.I.E project will be testing your reactions to certain fears, so please react to each situation and give your honest and truthful opinions. I must remind you of our pausing policy. If you wish to pause the experiment at any time, please write or say the word traffic light. Once this word is shown, I will pause and ask you how you would like me to proceed. If the experiment needs to come to an end, do not hesitate to tell me to stop. I will also remind you of our participation policy. Engagement is welcome, and you are encouraged to respond, interrupt, and ask questions at any time. While each call has a set structure, there are no rules to how the experiment will go, as we value free will. Human error is allowed, and you do not have to abide by our rules. Before we begin, do you have any questions?
Nope.
Wonderful. That sound means your time has begun. You will have roughly 30 minutes to complete the experiment.
Solo.
We will recount a series of personal statements to you. These statements will have options intertwined within them. Please choose your options wisely. Your answers may change the outcome of each experiment. But do remember, we have limited time. Tamor testing takes human nature of free will very seriously. Here are your first three options. What frightens you more? A house without doors, a hall full of mirrors, a waiting room filled with eyes.
Mm, can I ask a question?
Of course.
Does the house without doors have windows?
That is an interesting question. Yes, it does.
Okay. In that case, I will choose the the mirror one.
A hall full of mirrors. Please close your eyes and focus on my voice. The voice within your ears that crawls into your brain and makes its words as the world as it shall. As I weave my web and tell my stories, the world does not abide to me. I say what the world is, and therefore it becomes real. You have chosen a hall full of mirrors. You blink and rub the sleep from your eyes. What were you doing? You look down to see that you are within your bathroom, with your reflection staring back at you. Ah, yes, you remember. You wipe your face and poke your cheeks and try to gauge if you are ready to take on the day. And as you lean closer into the mirror, you stare deeply into your own eye. And as you look, you notice that the pupil tends to dilate and grow with every movement. Watching it move with such little control from you sends slightest shiver down your spine. Would you like to stare deeply into your own eyes, or would you like to leave?
Well, increasing in pupil dilation means I'm attracted to myself, so of course I want to stare at myself some more.
Ah, how vain. You have chosen to stare. Your eyes blur as you lean a little closer into the mirror. Eyes are such a strange thing, aren't they, Charlie? Some say that they are windows to the soul, a gateway to the secrets that one might be hiding. And as you stare, you feel a strange sensation of helplessness, of losing a sense of control. Suddenly, your fingers move, but they aren't your own, but they are your reflections. It lifts up the lid of your eye and pulls and yanks upon its skin, showing a strange pink underbelly beneath your eyelid. You stumble back in surprise. Your reflection smiles as it leans down and slowly takes your arm. This feeling is familiar, the warm touch of your own skin. It causes you to freeze, giving no resistance to being pulled into the mirror. Glassy hands hold you in place on the other side. It's cold here. The glass is sharp and pressing against your skin, and as you stare out into the world you once knew, there is a creature still holding your wrists. They look frightened, mimicking your face as if they are trying to pattern down your movements. Their eyes dart around the new space like a kitten in a new home. And as you watch, you begin to gain some confidence. They won't last more than a couple of minutes out here. They'll be back for you, you are certain. They are new and scared of this world. And as they begin to lift their feet and walk down the hall with slight encouragement, they twist and turn upon their ankles. They'll be back, you tell yourself. They aren't ready for what is out there. End of statement. How did the statement make you feel?
It was pretty cool.
How would you rate the content from a 1 to a 10?
In context of...
That is up to you.
I would say, in terms of horror scariness, it was like a 2 or a 3. In terms of a really cool concept, I would say that's like a 7 or an 8. It really makes me think of that film Annihilation. It's really, really cool. Love it.
Interesting. Do you ever get a strange feeling when looking into mirrors?
Not strange, but every now and then you do get that time where you're like, don't see something move that wasn't there, you know, a bit of that spookiness, but overall, no.
At night, when you walk through your home in a moonlight-bathed halls, do you ever come in contact with a mirror and stare at your dark reflection? Does your mind ever wonder if it's playing tricks on you as the reflection seems to move in the dark?
Indeed, yes.
Wonderful. Shall we return back to the other questions?
We shall.
All right. There are still 2 stories remaining: a house without doors and a waiting room filled with eyes. Would you like to choose either of these options?
Let's do the house without doors.
You have chosen a house without doors. Personal statement begins. You awaken in a room lying on the floor. The surface is cold and hard, and as you push yourself up, you feel your hands scratch against unsteady wood, filling your palm with slight, sharp splinters that itch and twinge with pain. Your eyes dart around the familiar room. Is this your room? It must be, but it seems wrong. Where would you like to go? The sitting room or the garden?
Ooh, let's go to the garden. That'll be quite nice.
You walk out of an archway which you think must have had a door upon it in some point, but the walls show signs of damage and carelessly broken wood. The hall you walk down is musky, a faint smell of mold hitting your nostrils as you travel down, ignoring many rooms, all with similar damage to the one you woke up in. Your steps begin to echo. You turn back and look down the hall. How long have you been walking? How far away is this room from the one you started in? If you were to turn back, would you even recognize which one it was? Could you tell the difference? It doesn't matter now. I assure you that if we continue to walk, we will find an exit. Do you trust me?
Sure, I trust you.
Wonderful. Your feet hit wet grass. When did we leave the house? You turn around to see that the long hallway you were once in simply ends. Now you stand beyond it. Are you free? No, of course you aren't. You never were. A house without doors cannot be left as much as it cannot be entered. You press your hand against the sky and feel the rough concrete and cold paint carelessly spattered upon it to simulate what one might think is a sky. But it's a lie. It doesn't move and the clouds are stuck within their shape. The lights, which one might have thought had come from a shining yellow sun, are clumsily painted with triangles and shades of orange. However, the light comes from an artificial one that is directly suspended above you. It buzzes and blinks from time to time, casting you into a slight darkness, but only for a moment. What is this place? This man-made dollhouse of horrors? Are you alone here? You can't be. But the walls show no signs of windows, and the corners bear no cameras. You sit upon the astroturf and nod to yourself. Someone will come for me. Someone will check. Clearly I was put in here for a reason. Soon they will come, and they will see I have won, and I will be set free. I simply have to wait. End of personal statement. How would you rate your experience from a 1 to a 10?
That was pretty interesting. You got real metaphorical there with your idea of you can't enter a house with no doors, but you also can't leave a house with no doors. That was like mind blowing. So I would say that was like an 8. And the idea that I was going to ask a question about whether there are windows or cameras, and you made it very clear there weren't. So it further builds my intrigue as to if I am alone, am I being monitored? Sorry, if I'm not alone, am I being monitored? And if I am, why? Is the big question. So that was a solid 8.
Wonderful. Do you have any more questions about the content?
Yes. In the long hallway to the garden, and you described the ground as wood, like the floor is wood.
Yes.
Were the walls and ceiling also wood?
No. As you would remember, you look back into the hallway. The walls and ceiling have a strange look of old-fashioned wallpaper that's roughly scratched off. It also has a rough concrete texture to it.
Okay, interesting. Concrete texture. Okay, and I wouldn't be able to see anything through the wooden floorboards?
That is an interesting question. Would you like to go back inside the house and check?
I would.
You step back into the hallway that just seems to end, and you notice that when you look down, there isn't exactly a clean and cut ending to the hallway to the grass, the fake grass. It seems that whoever built this place made special measures to almost make a seamless transition to the floor. You kneel down and look through what seems to be the old and rotting floor of the wood. You try to pull up the moldiness of it, but your nails dig a little bit too deep and you can feel the splinters within the ends of your fingers. As you again try to pull it up, you've eventually managed to pull one of the stubborn floorboards, and as it creaks and lifts up, you see, again, concrete beneath you.
Interesting. Okay. All concrete. You said there were windows before we entered the simulation, correct? Not in the garden area, but in the original area?
Yes. Looking around the garden, there is simply a concrete wall that has been disguised to look as a sky. But as you walk into the hallway, there are windows, but the windows simply lead to the fake sky. They do not lead to anything else.
Okay.
If you would like, you could go and look at the sitting room.
Sure, let's have a look at the sitting room.
You walk back through the hallway, which again still has the strange smell of musk and mold. It fills your lungs, and now breathing it once again, you worry that the breath will never change. As you step into the sitting room, which also has a similarly broken archway, a comfy leather chair invites you, and as you sit down upon it, you pull out a book, running your fingers along the edge of the damp page. You tell yourself that this is fine, that you don't need to explore anymore, that this room is warm and inviting. There's a slight tick, tick, tick that comforts you, that sounds like it's coming from a clock. And as you feel your body sink into the leather chair, You wonder how long you've been here. Minutes, hours, days, perhaps? Do you want to leave? Or do you want to look around the room?
Okay, so before I will look around the room, but before I do that, given the description that one, it's the book pages are damp, and two, this is an entirely concrete surrounding that should, in theory, scientifically, that should suffocate me. However, this is clearly not a vacuum, so therefore there has to be some kind of airflow. So can I find any ventilation shafts, any air passageways, anything like that?
Looking around the room, you notice that it just has a large leather chair and a large bookshelf along one of the walls. There is also a small mat upon the rotten wooden floor.
Okay. Can I pull up the mat?
Pulling up the mat, you still find the wooden floor. It is horribly rotten under here. It seems the dampness has fallen into the carpet.
Damp, but where is it getting damp? There has to be moisture. Okay, can I move the bookshelf?
You walk over to the bookshelf and push it aside, and there you find there's a strange dip within the concrete of the wall. And as you press your hands against the dip, you notice that the wallpaper becomes soft. And it almost feels as if you could push whatever this strange dip is.
Oh, yeah, push.
You push the wallpaper and walk on through. It breaks immediately. And as you walk through, you are again greeted by harsh artificial lights. You find yourself to be in some kind of testing facility. You can see doctors walking around through a stained glass window. But again, there is no door in this room. You can clearly see the ventilation shafts. It seems that this room is what they brought you in here for. And it seems what you walked through was indeed the entrance. The doctors don't seem to pay you any mind, though. A couple of them look up and notice that you have broken out. But again, they don't seem too worried. There is a large and sturdy iron door between you and them.
Sturdy iron door. Okay, and there's an iron door and there's windows. Okay. Can I touch the glass and see what grade it is in terms of looking through the light piercing through it? Okay, I want to know if it's normal glass, bulletproof glass, two-way glass, one-way glass.
That was going to be my question. You walk up to the glass and press your hand against it. You can see that it is quite thick, and just from your general knowledge, you assume that it is bulletproof.
Okay.
You wait for a couple of hours, and eventually, you see someone walk up to the glass. They pull out a key card and press it against what seems to be a sensor. The metal door opens, and you see Dr. Doe. She greets you with a smile and tells you, "Come on, it's time for the next test. You've spent far too long in here." She takes your wrist and pulls you out.
Yes, I wanted to go back, but it's okay.
You can tell her to stop.
Can I stop for 2 seconds?
She gives you a strange look and asks what is wrong.
I would like to go back and check the contents of the book that I was reading.
She happily lets go of your wrist and tells you to run along then. If you want to leave, simply go the way you came.
Okay, and the door will stay open and I can come back in like a minute?
As you ask that, you look into her eyes and they look cold and distant, but she agrees and nods slightly.
Okay, and then I will head back to the sitting room and I would like to look at the nature of the books or the content of the books.
You walk back into the sitting room, your feet again sliding against the strange and slippery wooden floor, and you pull out the book that you were reading. You notice that you didn't really notice this before, but the writing upon the words seems to be some kind of gibberish. It's quite hard to make out any of the writing because it seems the dampness of the room has made a lot of the ink seem to drip and sink into the pages. Words are repeated over one another, and as you turn pages, you notice that more and more of them are stuck together. But looking at the cover, which is made of quite a strong and sturdy leather, you can see that these are each different kinds of personal accounts. There are numbers attached to each one, and there is a small logo of the Timor testing upon the rim of the spine.
Okay, I would like to keep this book on me. Are there any pens, pencils, anything like that lying around?
Not within this room, but you could probably ask Jane for one.
Okay, then let's head back to Jane.
You walk back, and Jane seems to be patiently standing exactly where you left her. You now notice that you haven't exactly seen her chest move with breath or her eyes blink in the couple of minutes that you have now been walking towards her. But as you do, she gives you a cheery smile, or at least you assume it's a smile, as she is wearing a mask. She puts out her hand and says, "Are you ready to go?"
I am, but could I get a pencil or a pen or something to write in this book?
She scuffles around in her jacket and pulls out a small pen. She hands it to you. But
Thank
as you
you.
take it, she says, "Do try not to hurt any of the doctors with this, please. We have had problems in the past. We respect human nature, but we do not tolerate violence."
Okay, and Jane, I wouldn't be under any situations that would incite me to be violent and, let's say, to protect oneself.
Wonderful. Would you like to move on to the next experiments?
Sure.
All right. There is.
Um,
Oh,
as we are walking to the next experiment, I would like to keep a lookout on any possible exit areas or areas of interest along the way, and a keener on ventilation shafts and their size and whether I could fit.
Charlie, you came into this experiment of your own free will. Just because some of these experiments do include you being put into rooms and situations that are not comfortable. But if you do want to leave, you can.
Okay, I'll keep that in mind. Thank you, GLaDOS. The cake is a lie. Continue.
Life is a lie. So the only option that is left is a waiting room filled with eyes.
All right.
Now, the very last option is the waiting room. Jane gives you a strange look as she drags you towards it. Well, I certainly won't keep you, but I do have other patients to attend to for a short while. Feel free to stay within our comfortable little waiting room, Jane says as she walks towards her own office. The door clatters behind her, and you see a small name tag with her name upon it. As oh,
Okay. Oh, name tag with her name on the door?
yes, like Jane Doe's
Okay.
office kind of stuff.
Got you. Got you.
Did you want to do something?
Are there any doctors around?
Ah, as of right now, you do not see any doctors. There is a lady at a front desk and a couple of other patients sitting in the waiting room. You look behind you, and there is a hallway that you did come down with other doctors' offices. You could try and knock on one of their doors, but it would be seen as rude.
Okay. Are there any other areas that look kind of off limits or restricted?
Right now, all you see in front of you is the waiting room and the hallway filled with doctors' offices. If you walk into the waiting room and go over to the exit, you notice that the exit door does not open when you stand in front of it.
Is there a swipe card access?
No.
Okay.
The front desk lady is giving you a strange look.
Okay. In that case, I will head on over to the waiting room.
As you walk into the waiting room, you notice that this carpet is absolutely disgusting. Your shoes keep sticking to the strange and blue. You look around and see that there is a small cast of characters, but as you try to look upon their faces, there's a sudden glimpse of awkward eye contact, which causes you to squirrel away and find the nearest seat. As you tap your foot, you listen to a familiar tick, 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 but you kind of look around and notice that there are no clocks inside this room. You suddenly try to think why you're here. I came in for my appointment, I was greeted by a less than friendly front desk lady, and now I sit here. But why did I book this? Am I sick? I must be. You try to look at yourself, but notice. You try to look at yourself and you notice. Ah. Sorry. You know. You try to look around the room and notice that one of the patients isn't sitting quite right. Their bones seem oddly shaped and their face is slightly contorted. As you stare, their head snaps inhumanly to match your gaze. Quickly, your eyes dart away to another. A girl with strange holes upon her cheeks and lip, and as you stare, there is something crawling within the holes. You find yourself shuffling back in fear of being infested with whatever might reside inside of her. Is this where is this why you're here? Are you also wrong in some type of way? Why else would you be sitting here? But as you look upon yourself, you find that your eyes are within your face, your teeth within your mouth, and your blood within your veins. You are healthy. You shouldn't be here. You shouldn't be taking up Dr. Doe's time. Clearly, these people need her more than you do. Would you like to leave? Or do you want to stay and wait?
I am going to try something here that could possibly be a bit off script.
You can do whatever you want. We respect human nature.
I would like to talk to the receptionist.
All right. You walk over to the receptionist. She seems to be typing away something on what you think is a laptop, but you don't recognize the brand or the strange glow that's upon her glasses. She doesn't notice as you walk up to her.
Between Jane Doe's office and here, is there a doorway or some kind of obstruction?
Are you worried that Jane Doe might see you talking to the receptionist because her door is closed? I would like you to imagine this as a simple square room, which then veers off into a hallway where all the doctor's offices are. So there is a slight obstruction of view if you are worried of Jane Doe seeing you, but her door is closed.
Okay, I would... Oh, this could be risky. Okay, I would like to ask the receptionist how long the wait time is.
The receptionist looks up, and as you see her shoulders move, you notice a name tag upon her sweater. It says the name Rosie. She gives you a strange look and adjusts her glasses and says, "There are lots of people here. Probably an hour or so."
Okay. In that case, Rosie, is there anywhere I could get some refreshments in the meantime?
You want some water or something?
That would be nice, yes, please.
Rosie rolls her eyes and stands. "I'll get it for you. Stay here." She begins to walk down the hall and disappears from sight.
Okay, I want to grab her laptop. I want to go sit at her laptop.
All right, you run around the desk and sit at the laptop. You look at what you thought was a screen, only to find that it is entirely blue. And the keys that should be upon the base of the laptop don't seem to have any letters that one might say. It's just strange little dots.
Okay, can I whip open my... Wait a minute, dots. Morse code? No. Can I whip open my book and see if there are any personal accounts, anything that's kind of close to this sort of context or anything I could use?
Are you trying to find the ending of this scenario?
I'm just investigating.
All right. You try to tap upon the blue screen, pressing the random keys to try and get some kind of response. But as you tap, there doesn't seem to be any acknowledgement from the keyboard. Tap, 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 tap. This does not seem to be a computer at all. It seems to be almost what one might say, a creature's interpretation of a human laptop.
Okay. Does the desk have any drawers or anything that I could investigate?
Yes. You lean down. There seems to be a chest of 3 drawers.
I would love to check each of those from the bottom up, please.
Bottom up. You pull open one of the drawers and find there is a small filing cabinet. You pull out one of the files and find pictures. This picture shows are of a woman's arm. There are holes within the arm lining up to the top of her thumb. The holes are red and filled with a strange pus. You can see that there are small maggots that are crawling within her skin and bones. The blood is dry and black and seems to be old. You look over to the patient that you had noticed before. You assume this is the same person.
Okay.
You open the next drawer. Oh, I forgot to mention, the first file that you picked has the word decay on it.
Okay.
You open the next drawer, and you pull out another file. This file has the name distortion on it, and it simply shows doors, thousands upon thousands of doors in each of the photos, but the doors are all broken, ripped off at the hinges and thrown into what seems to be some kind of pile. It's hard to make It's hard to make any sense of this.
Okay. And the last drawer?
The final drawer seems to have pictures upon pictures of many different people, all of them with strange blurred faces, as if someone got a liquefy tool and just held it on their face for an hour or so. Looking upon these photos hurts your eyes slightly. This file is called The Stranger.
Okay, is there anything in my book of personal accounts about any of this, whether it's decay, just any of them?
You look through your book and try to make sense of any of this. As you remember, the book has quite a lot of water damage, but as you're reading, you can kind of gauge a sense that each of these characters reside here in Timor testing. But that's about all you can get from the soggy pages.
Okay. I would like to write down with my pencil on the least muggy, moist, moldy page possible, those keywords, decay,
Decay, distortion, and stranger.
Yes.
As you write down the final letter of your words, you can hear Rosie coming back with your water. Her high heels make a clack, clickety-clack on the tiles, and then you can hear the soft mushiness of the strange carpet beneath you as she turns the corner and walks up to you. She hands you a glass filled with a strange, dark liquid. Here.
Thank you.
She walks around you and back to the desk. Again, now that you're you're a little bit behind her now since you were just at the desk. She doesn't seem to really care that you were there at all. But as you're looking behind her, you can see that she is just typing nonsense into a blue screen.
Okay. She's wearing glasses. Can I angle myself behind her to have a look through her glasses and see if that blue changes? Maybe it's the prescription.
That is such an interesting thought. You try to look through the glasses, and you can tell there is a strange blue tint to the way that she is looking, but it's too hard to make out any details. Perhaps there might be some kind of difference, but nothing that you can tell.
Okay. Okay. I would like to go up to the decay lady with the holes.
All right. You approach the lady with holes, and she does not seem to move very much. You can hear a strange skittering and scattering within her bones. She does not react to you.
Okay. I'm going to tap her with my book at a distance with my pencil in my other hand for self-defense purposes.
Immediately, she grabs the book with an unimaginable strength for someone in such a state of decay. Her head snaps to look at you, and you notice that she has no eyes, just large holes filled with maggots and blood. She tilts her head at you. And
does she have a mouth?
She does have a mouth.
Okay. I would like to say, how long have you been waiting here?
You can see that she begins to fill what might be left of her lungs with air in an attempt to say something before something happens. Prentice! Prentice, it's your turn! You hear Jane's voice coming from the hole. Prentice, who you assume is the lady in front of you, immediately stands, with little struggle, who you might think from someone with such wounds. And she is still holding on to your book. She has not let go, but she attempts to walk away from you, still holding the book.
Oh, hell no, I'm holding that book. That is my lifeline right now.
Your strength manages to hold onto the book, but as she begins to walk, you notice that her wrist kind of rips with the strength of you lifeliningly holding onto the book. As she walks over to Jane looks at her hand and goes, "Oh, we'll have to fix that. Come on now." And she walks into Jane's office.
Oh, sweet, I acquired a holy hand. I don't think it's religious, but it's a holy hand.
Yes, so there is a disembodied hand holding onto your book right now.
That's okay. I can use this to my advantage. Is there a possible chance that I could get the hand to release the book, or is it just perpetually with a lot of strength holding the book?
Do you want to touch the hand?
Oh god, yes, I will touch the hand.
You shakily go and grab the disembodied hand. It immediately interlocks fingers with you.
Aww.
And you feel something begin to burrow into your index finger.
Oh, hell no, release.
You quickly pull your hand back, and you look upon where you felt the strange burrowing feeling. There is a small hole within your index finger.
Son of a bitch. Okay, have I got a belt?
I do not know, Charlie. What did you wear today?
I'm wearing a belt for convenience sake.
What interesting human behavior. Yes, you are wearing a belt. So what would you like to do with your belt?
I'd like to take it off and tourniquet my arm. Whatever that is, it's staying in the arm or it's going out and ain't going any further near vital organs.
As you are about to do that, you hear Jane.
Don't dare say about to do that. Continue.
As you are about to do that, you hear Jane's door open once again, and she calls for you.
Okay. Okay. Despite this slightly terrifying situation, I will... Is the hand still holding the book?
Yes.
Okay, I will take my holy book, that is, I'm now calling it the Bible, and I would quickly like to go chat to the snappy man gentleman in the other seat to have a quick convo, and I would just give a little shout down the hallway saying, Give me a second, Jane. I'm just. And leave it at that because I haven't got a good enough excuse right now.
You turn to where you remember the man sitting, only to find that he is no longer there. In fact, the entire room is empty, except for Rosie, of course, and Jane, who is waiting down the hall, staring at you intently.
Oh, piss. Okay. Yes, well, it's empty now. All right. I guess I will head into Jane.
You try to walk forward, but you suddenly find that you can't. You try to pull your foot up, but notice that the ground has become far more increasingly sticky than you remember. As you stare down, your hands feel far too hot, and you can continue to hear Jane calling for you, but again, you still can't move.
Okay, is it just that I can't move my feet? I can still kind of flail?
You can still flail. As you look
Okay.
down, the carpet around you seems to have interlocked into your shoe. It looks bigger, as if the fibers of the fabric itself have grown into the fabric of your shoe. Soon you try to pull your foot free, but it seems that it is fused. Slowly it begins to engulf your skin.
Oh, piss. Okay. Okay. Shit. Okay. Oh, this could be. Can I check my pockets? Is there anything in my pockets? I should have done this earlier.
Again, you came into this office today with whatever you thought you had upon you, so it's up to you.
In that case, it's burning into my skin. How assholey do I want to be about this? Okay. Conveniently, no normal person would have this in their pockets. However, I have decided to have. Ooh, okay. Pocket knife and.
You are taking a very long time.
I am. Shit.
If you take too long, I will say that the carpet eats you.
No! Okay, pocket knife, and I want to just start cutting at the fibers that are going into my skin. I just want to, create some difference.
You pull out the pocket knife and try to cut away at the fibers, but they just continue to grow and multiply as they climb and climb and climb.
Okay, am I within grabbing distance of the desk?
You try and desperately grab onto the desk, but you are continuing to be eaten by the horrible fibers and decay of the carpet. And soon it engulfs your legs, your feet, your chest, and then it is only your head that remains upon the gloopy carpet. Charlie, Doe calls. Are you done waiting? Are you ready? Oh. Her eyes land upon you as you sink further and further. Oh, do not worry. This happens sometimes.
A little help, please.
End of personal statement.
Oh, got the bad ending.
You blink, and you are back in Jane Doe's office. How would you rate your experience of that statement from a 1 to a 10?
I'm kind of mad at myself, but it was very good, so I give it a 9.
Do you have any questions about the content?
Was the rug always going to eat me at the end?
The rooms that we conduct our experiments in can sometimes become unstable. So, rotten luck, I assume.
Clearly. Oh, I'm annoyed because I actually was thinking this carpet is weird. I need to stop walking on it because it's sticky. Ugh. Thinking like a Venus flytrap or something. Damn it. Oh well.
The You might have remembered that the floor that goes along to the doctor's offices was tile, and the floor in the waiting room was carpet.
Yeah, it was.
Anyway, how did you like the people within the waiting room? You did only talk to one, but I guess
Yes.
Rosie.
Well, the reason I chose to talk to Rosie more so than Snappy Man is Snappy Man scared me a little bit more because I personally am more freaked out by unnatural body movements
Mm.
more so than trypophobia.
Ah. Do you often choose the safer option over the scarier one?
I do.
Do you have any questions for me or about some more testing?
Yes. Um, how many of your simulations are unstable?
That is an interesting question. We do try to make every single test as safe as possible. I mean, you're here in one. Oh, Jane looks at your hand, noticing the small hole within it. She reaches out her own. Can you hand me that?
Okay.
You place your hand into hers. She pulls out
I
a
would like to
small.
pull that pencil out in my other hand just to be safe.
Are you going to stab me?
No, I was more just kind of thinking, whatever's in my hand, if it doesn't want to come out, it might be a bit easier for you to kind of, coerce it out.
Oh,
Gives you some options.
I wouldn't worry
Totally
about that.
intending to stab her. Okay.
As she says this, she brings out her pointer finger and her thumb. Looking upon it, you notice your eyes begin to blur slightly. Are her fingers growing? They suddenly become longer and sharp, fingernails jagged and strangely twisted. And without warning, she digs into your wrist and pulls out a worm. Disgusting little thing. And she.
I could I this is the zoologist talking here. What could you describe the worm? I want to know if it's a nematode or if it's an annelid. That means very little to you, I assume, but it's more of a is it a parasite worm or is it just a normal worm?
It looks like some kind of white little worm with a
Oh yeah,
silver
it's
head.
totally a nematode. It's totally a nematode. It's parasitic. Okay, continue.
She squishes it between her strange fingers. There. Now you are in one piece. She lets go of your
Thank you.
hand.
That was very kind. I do have a question, Jane.
Yes.
I whip out my book and I'm like, should I be concerned for poor Rosie about her hand?
Oh, Rosie it was the front desk lady.
Oh,
Prentice
sorry,
is the
not
one who is
Rosie.
infected.
Yeah,
Prentice.
yeah, that's right.
We are trying to help Prentice. You see, as you might have noticed, sometimes the experiments go a little awry. We do try to fix what it might have been mistaken, but sometimes volunteers need an extended stay.
Right, and could I have a look around to see what is in her office?
You look around the office. There is a large window behind her, and you're sitting across from her. There's a desk between you and her. She is writing into a clipboard, and there's a couple files on her desk. One of them you notice does have your name on it. There's also the name Jack and Josh and Amber.
Interesting. Okay. Is my file open?
Yes.
Could I sneak a peek?
The file contains the consent form that you signed, as well as a couple of images. One of them is simply a bust shot of your face and shoulders. The other images seem to be you within the different kinds of tests. There's a picture of you in the sitting room looking at the bookshelf. There is another of you touching the concrete sky. There is also one of you staring upon yourself in the mirror, and one of you in the waiting room talking to Prentice.
Where did they take those photos from? Oh, okay, fascinating. I would like to look around the room for windows or cameras or anything.
Again, you don't notice any cameras, but you do notice that there is a picture frame with what seems to be an intricate painting of an eye. You also realize you can hear a slight tick, tick, tick in this room as well.
Oh, son of... Okay, could I say, hey, Jane, do you hear that ticking noise? It's kind of driving me a bit crazy.
That is a clock.
Well, yes, but do you have a clock in here? I feel like I've been hearing it all, this whole time, and I haven't seen a single clock.
Well, it must be somewhere.
Okay. Do you know of any clocks in the facility?
Time is an illusion.
Right. Awesome. Thank you. That was super helpful. Okay. I see you have a couple people, James, Josh, and Amber. Where are they? What are they up to?
These are the other volunteers that are in a very similar situation as you. They will be doing the exact same tests that you have done. One of them has completed these tests. This one, and she points at the file that is named Jack.
Okay. Can I read it?
No.
Cool. Okay. Can I ask what you're trying to test?
Human
What are
nature.
these rooms to test? Okay. Anything specific about human nature?
How they react to unstable situations.
Okay, so the rooms are supposed to be unstable. Cool. Can I look around the room for any dangerous carpets?
This room has a tile floor.
Okay, great. Do any of the tiles look dislodged?
Not that you can tell.
Okay, and I would like to walk up to the painting and be like, "Oh, this is a really nice piece. Could you tell me about it?" And have a look into the eye and see whether it looks like it's behind the painting, or whether it's like part of the painting or anything.
Staring into the eye, you don't see any like clear signs of a camera or anything behind it, but every time you look away or like kind of move, you feel like the painting changes to look where you're going.
Oh, okay, interesting. Okay, and oh, this is her office. Is that weird to do? Okay. I'll say I just would like to test some of my own human nature for a second here, and pull the painting down and see if there's anything behind it.
As you pull the painting down, Jane gives you a slightly worried look but does not stop you. Behind the painting, there is nothing aside from a now slightly ripped wall. It seemed that the painting was nailed into the wall, so it kind of ruined it a bit. Jane gives an uncomfortable look and she says, "Well, I believe that we are out of time."
Okay, and I would like to turn to Jen and be like, okay, and about this person that completed these simulations. Did you get what you wanted out of them?
Yes, they did not explore as much as you did. They seemed quite uncomfortable as some of the things and wanted to get them over with as fast as possible. But
okay, interesting. That's very interesting. And do you have any more subjects lined up for future testing? And does she have like one of those computers?
she doesn't, is something you notice.
Okay.
The P.I.E project is focusing on a small group of people. It is only you, Amber, Josh, Jack.
And others, or just us four?
Just you four. We keep it to a small group to try and compare notes.
Great. Does the door look locked?
You are allowed to leave. The experiment is over. Allow me to give you a large thanks from us at Timor Testing. Your results will be vital in our investigation of humans. Please do keep yourself safe. We may call upon you again.
Is there like something behind her, by the way? Is it all just a concrete tile office?
No, there's a window behind her, but the window just seems to go to an empty blueness.
Okay. Can I say it's a lovely view you have?
Are you looking out the window?
Yeah, I'm gonna like kind of approach her and be like, it's a lovely view. What do you tell me what you enjoy about it?
It's very blue.
Yes, but I mean, is there any more like metaphorical kind of this or anything that um, excites you or makes you think about this blueness? And in the meantime, I'd like to kind of check the glass to see whether it's normal glass, bulletproof, that kind of thing.
You check the glass. This glass looks like normal glass. It is not bulletproof like the last one. Jane does.
Is there?
Oh,
Oh, sorry. Continue.
I was just going to say, Jane is seemingly trying to give a good answer to your question, but she seems to find it hard to describe the sky.
Cool. In the meantime, while she's kind of metaphorically distracted, is am I in a like out the view? Does it look like we're in a high skyscraper kind of thing in terms of is there anything below us, above us, in terms of the wind outside the window? Or is it literally just all blue?
You can't see any floor. It just all looks like blue. But the door behind you is not locked and you can leave.
I know, but however, I would like to investigate further. The blueness, does it change in shade or is it all just one consistent blue across the entire, regardless of where I look?
It is all one consistent blue.
Great. Okay. I'd like to say to Jane, well, thank you very much for your time. How do I leave? Is it just out this door, or is there like kind of out the door and then down the hallway kind of thing?
Just walk through the door.
Okay. And could I have a look at her clipboard and see what she wrote down?
You yeah, you were standing next to her, yes. So you look over and notice that the clipboard that she is holding simply has all of the numbers that you rated. So for the first one, you rated it a 3 on scariness and a 7 on like overall. And then the second test, it was an 8. And the last, it was a 9. And you also notice that she has written down a couple of your quotes, trying to like just some of the random little quotes you've said. It also wrote down. She also wrote down. They seem to be exploring a lot.
Okay.
Oh, I would also like to mention that you notice that there might be a tattoo on her neck, but it is obstructed by hair.
Ooh, okay. I say, oh, is that a tattoo you have? I'd love to see what it is.
My personal markings are not important. The test is over. You may leave.
Could I ask what are you like doing in your spare time, your free time? Do you just stay at the facility or do you go home? Do you have a home?
I do normal human things.
Great. Tell me about your hobbies.
I am sorry, volunteer Charlie, but you have taken up quite a lot of my time. The test is over. Our minimum time is usually 50 minutes, so I believe that it is time for you to leave.
Okay.
Do you leave?
Fair enough. Do I still have the hand?
Um. Hmm. It's the book you are holding. You notice that the hand did fall off at some point, but you just didn't notice it. You're not
Okay.
sure where it went.
Yes. Okay. Um. Okay. Oh, I would like to untourniquet my arm now she's removed the worm, by the way. I really don't want to cut off blood supply to my arm. That would be great.
Yeah, it's just yeah. You undo the belt.
Mm. Cool. Yeah, okay. I just put my belt back on and I say thank you very much for your time, and I walk out, peek out the door to see what's behind it.
You walk over to the door. Jane seems to give a sigh of relief as she turns back around to look out the window again. She seems to be pondering something. You were kind of intensely staring at her, and as she turns, you can kind of see her hair part for a moment. The tattoo on the back of her neck was an eye.
Okay. Is it covered by her hair again?
Yeah, it was like a very spur of the moment, like hair moves slightly, you glimpse an eye, and then her hair
Okay.
goes down again.
Did the painting, did I put it back up or did I just leave it down?
That's up to you.
I want to say I put it down with the painting itself facing away, like to the wall, so the eye was not looking in my direction.
Okay, so yes, that is where you left the painting.
Cool. Her desk. Is it one of those ones where it's got like a foot placement and it's open on both sides, or is it like one of those ones that's closed off at the back end and open on the inside?
Yes, it's one of those ones that's like a little dip where her legs can go. Yes, and there's like little chested drawers on each end.
And it's open on both sides of the foot space.
Yes.
As in, I could. Okay.
Do you mean like do you mean like you could crawl through?
Yes. Yes.
I just want to let you know you're going far and above and beyond right now.
I will be an outlier to your test.
We respect human nature. What do you want to do?
I would like to open the door and do that. Is it one of those doors that like creaks open?
Yes.
Okay, I would like to creak the door open, but as I creak the door open, I would like. Oh, this is gonna be risky. She's pondering and looking out the window with a sigh of relief. So I would like to slowly peek the door and do that thing where, like, as you kind of open the handle and then you let go with the handle quietly and you use your foot to keep pushing the door open. And in the meantime, I would like to quietly, or at least as quietly as I can, I've removed as many eyes as I can from the area. I would like to slowly open the door and I would like to quietly and stealthily grab the clipboard and all the files. Josh, Amber, James, myself, and the clipboard, and then I want to make a run for it.
Okay. The minute you open the door, you notice that the waiting room, the hallway, what you remember being there, is no longer there. The door opens and is not the way you remember it. Is outside. You open it and then you are suddenly outside.
Right. I would still like to stick to my plan.
Yep. You go to try and turn around and grab the other statements, but as you turn, Jane is now right in front of you. You did not hear her move. You did not hear her walk. She was wearing heels. Of course, they would clack, clack against the tiles, but now she is directly in front of you. She simply puts a hand on your shoulder and pushes you beyond the door. As she does, the room fades. You fall back and hit the cold ground of the outside, of the world you remember, and to more testing is gone.
I still have the book.
Yes, you still have the book.
It has the symbol. I can Google search it at home. I still have physical evidence, and that's all that matters. And maybe the pen's one of those ones that's like company branded. I have evidence. It's fine.
Thank you for being a volunteer.
That was fantastic.
Did you enjoy it?
I thoroughly enjoyed that experience.
Oh my god. So, okay, here's the thing. When I did a test run of this, the each story, it overall it took roughly 30 minutes, right? So I have like a timer that tells me when 30 minutes is up so that I can kind of gauge in my head like, okay, I'll do whatever role play or whatever like improv that the person wants to do, and just like be cautious of the time so I'm not taking up too much time. But like my limit was like, oh yeah, if I get to like 50 minutes, I'll probably cut them off there. That was a full hour.
Oh yeah, I go above and beyond. I honestly, for the first one, like the first one was like, this is cool, and then I hit the second one, I was like,
Yeah.
okay, I need to hold myself back because
No.
I'm already throwing myself in quite a bit, and I'm already taking a bit of time, so I'll just scoot along with stuff. And then the last one, I was like, nah, I'm just committing.
I know you feel like okay, like I definitely encourage like no, that's like I'm glad you did that, but and you are more than welcome to do that with exactly with this kind of interactive test. Yeah, you because I already have done this experiment on someone, Jack, the person that was mentioned who has already completed. They very much stuck to the formula. Like they didn't explore much, they didn't question much. They gave me Ella a bunch of notes afterwards, but while they were talking to Jane, the character, they were too scared to talk to her. So I was like, okay. So it was a very short game. I was like, okay, I need to like take into account that some people might not want to roleplay, so I need to remember that. And then I get to you.
You think I'm a DM? I throw myself into shit. It was one thing I wanted to do that I didn't, because I didn't want to incite violence, because I had not done that, and I thought that might be a terrible idea given the state of things and how people seem to grow claws. So it's probably a really bad idea to incite violence, so I'm just not going to. But I really, really, really wanted to either stab the eye in the painting or stab her eye tattoo.
You could have done that. I was
tempted to, but I didn't want to instill violence because I had a good pacifist run going, and I was like, I'm just going to commit to my pacifist run.
Oh, you know what's interesting? So, there are like multiple endings to each of the stories I gave you. Some of them, like, I don't think you got any of the more like meaner options, but there are like bits where like you can break the mirror or things like that. But I think you definitely went down a very peaceful route.
I was like, once I hit the end of the first one, I was like, I could either be a pacifist or I could go full murder hobo.
Yeah,
I don't think they would appreciate full murder hobo for this. So well, I won't do that.
Again, you could have done whatever you wanted. And like the way I had it written, like I tried to encourage people to come up with their own. Like I gave people options of like where to go in the houses. Like there are scripted options, but there's also the thing of like you can just say no, I don't want to do any of that. I jump out a window.
I mean, once I kind of. I think I really stuck to the formula until we were up to the floorboard bit, and then I was like, hold up, hang on, let me try something, and then I just went down a rabbit hole.
Yeah, no, you got a lot of my like more secret stuff, so that's fun.
Do people typically go through and find that like bookshelf bit?
Yes, they usually don't stay there though. They kind of just go like, you know what, I'm gonna leave. But like I've only done this with one other person, so.
Fair enough. I just thought to myself, I know this is going to be an experience, and at the end, I will just go back to normal life probably. So I was like, I need to have recounts or physical evidence that it happened, and that was my big thing. Is like writing down the stuff in the book was kind of really good in terms of me, in terms of like sticking to. Like it sounds dumb. Have you played like in horror games where they always like have a journal or recounts in terms of quests or stuff?
Yeah.
Like that was kind of what I was going for in terms of if I keep a physical evidence and a physical track of what's like important and going, then I'll have something to work with. In the end, like, I don't think what I wrote was important, but what was important was having a book that had the logo which you specified, and I was like, that's
Yes.
perfect. Because even if like no one believed a word I said, I could have a logo to work with, and like, that's more than nothing.
Mm. You,
So
like, in this universe, let's say, you
mm,
would also have a copy of, like, the consent form, like, just at
mm,
home. Keep in mind.
oh yeah.
Because this wasn't mentioned, but, like, the consent form that was in your file, it's a photocopy of the consent form that you had.
Oh,
So,
okay.
yeah, that should have been mentioned, but I forgot.
Oh, good. Mm.
Yeah,
No, that was good.
I was very much trying, like, all these stories are meant to, like, give a dreamlike feel. There isn't meant to be much logic behind any of it. So
Yeah.
yeah, that's why things kept changing and like random facts kept coming up. Dream logic, basically.
Yeah, exactly. That makes sense. I think I could sense a little bit, but I was committing. You freaked out a little bit when I was like, it's not moist. Oh, no, when I was like, it's moist, but there's no area. It's a vacuum. There has to be a way for air to come in and out. And I feel like on the other side, you were probably like, oh, Jesus, this is science.
With some of the things you said, I'm like, I'm playing a doctor. Like, she should know, like, smart things, but, like, me, Ella, not smart. So
yeah, I was like, oh, ventilation shafts, and you were probably like, what the fuck is he talking about?
Well, that's the thing. Like, I've written multiple scenarios, and I'm like, I have like backups in my head, and I did know that, like, okay, if someone finds a way, like a really creative way to break out of the dollhouse, then yeah, they will be into more testing facility. But like, yeah, sometimes you would get into your super duper smart stuff, and I'd be like, oh God, how do I explain shit?
Yeah, and at least it's not like. I guess I was lucky in that certain things were not open, like there weren't any hatches or air ducts around. That would have just been, oh, this is nice, and then I would have gone full MacGyver.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, I like this little interactive experience. I wanted to keep it very contained. Like, I don't want it to be like D&D where like it's fair, if that makes sense. It's
no, that's fair. It's a dream.
Yeah.
Like, it's not
Yeah.
supposed to be fair.
Everything is unfair. Everything is going against you. Like, you try to do logical things and it doesn't work, kind of thing.
I definitely know I got the bad ending with the carpet in the waiting room, but the other two, I think I actually didn't do too bad.
Yeah. Well, the way I wrote that one is like you could actually almost all the stories are time limited, but the waiting room is the one that's like heavily time limited, and like you can only talk to like with the people in the waiting room, you can only talk to one or the other. So which I kind of regret now, because I'm like, if you're more scared of his name was Michael, by the way. If you're more scared of Michael, I would have preferred you talk to him. But like, also, like, it's your own choice.
You don't go to the thing that scares you most first. You always go to like build yourself up to it.
Yeah. Oh, also, with Jane, do you know that Jane Doe is the name that coroners give to unidentified
dead. Or medical people give to women that don't have the like a name or identification. It's the same with men. You have John Doe.
Yep. Fun detail.
No, it was. I totally recognized at the moment you said her name, and I was like, "That's cool." Like, clearly a meaning behind it.
Yeah. Oh, actually, one of the other players, like Jack before you, he mentioned that Jane Doe and John Doe are also usually names given to like, when characters in like stories or in games, like, like little placeholder characters, they give them those names there as well. So he thought when he was told that name, he immediately thought it was fake.
Fair.
Just interesting things. Yeah. But anyway, I'm glad you enjoyed. Thank you for helping me.
Oh, good. It was a very interesting experience.
You know what? I'm gonna be using a small recording of your voice in like the little trailer I'm making. I have
A
so I
trailer.
yeah, I have so many good lines I can use now.
Oh God, what lines? I mean, yeah, quite a few. Oh, do you have to make a trailer of what everyone says?
Oh yeah, I'm using little clips from each person
Oh yeah.
that I'm gonna do. I think I might do the one where it's like she grabs your book. Oh hell no, that's my lifeline.
That is actually a good. I don't even remember that I said that, but now you say it, I totally remember saying it.
Oh jeez.